I attended my mother's funeral a week ago, and I just found out the coffin is empty, dead outside the front door. That's how my mom was found one dreary September morning. Murdered, the police say, but no one to pin the crime to. Looking back, I should have taken the signs more seriously. My mother was constantly looking out the window into the woods, biting her nails nervously as if there was something there worrying her. She even checked the doors every night to make sure they were locked tight. After dinner, my father and I brushed it off as perhaps just a simple paranoia thing, but obviously it wasn't. Looking at her state, you wouldn't think it was the work of a killer due to the absence of any wounds or abrasions on her skin. Instead, she's been suffocated. Saying that my world was absolutely ripped away from me would be an understatement. At that time in my life, I didn't think things could be more horrendous than they already were, but I couldn't have been more wrong. In fact, the death of my mom would be the least of my problems. Since my mom had not been brutally disfigured in any way, my father decided the funeral would be an open casket. And I must say, as much as I miss my mom and wanted her back, I didn't want to see her in a state of death. I already, unwillingly, had to let go when I left to get the mail that morning, and it left a feeling inside my stomach that I don't think I'll ever get to go away. It was the night before the funeral that I heard the tapping. It was like 10 o'clock. It was coming from right outside my window. Tap, 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 tap. The tapping pattern came in pairs of two. At first I thought it was a branch bumping against my house, you know, that type of stuff in Home Alone. Could it be a killer, maybe? My whole body tensed up as if my heart was beating in my head. Without thinking it all the way through, I ripped my curtains open to observe what was producing that noise. I stared out my window, and to my surprise, I saw nothing. Just the wide open backyard and a forest outline. I decided it must have been a little animal or something like that, and I rolled over back to sleep. I prayed the whole morning that the funeral would be just normal, that things would be okay, and I would feel some sort of closure on the whole thing. However, something happened that turned my world upside down. Everyone was sitting when Father Andy opened the coffin to reveal my mom, or where she should have been. To all of our horror, the coffin was completely empty. I remember everyone standing up all at once as if it was an electric current. I had gone through all of our seats at the same time. In a second, the room that was just silent turned to gasps and cries of rage. It was clear as day that she'd been taken. My father was on the phone all night with the funeral home and the police. Another investigation for my mom was on the way, and they hadn't even solved the first one, man. Funeral had obviously been postponed, and I was starting to feel numb from everything. That night it happened again. The tapping resurfaced the same time, 10 o'clock. I awoke to the sound of it coming from my window. Tap, tap, tap. My heart leaped in my throat again. Not again. I pulled my pillow over my head and did my best to go back to sleep. Tap, 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 tap. It was as if the tapping was getting louder. My fear turned to aggression very quickly and I threw the pillow off my head. I pounded my fist up against the window, still guarded by my curtains. Knock it off, I yelled. The noise stopped. I breathed. I brought my pillow back up to its spot. Tap, 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 tap. Are you kidding me? I didn't get the rest of the sentence out of my mouth and the horrible realization came over me. The tapping wasn't coming from outside my window, it was coming from inside my closet. Without another second passing, I found myself trembling in fear, pushed up against my bedroom wall. Whatever was inside must have figured out. I knew it was there. As my door started to slowly creak open, I had several guesses of what could be hiding on the other side. But not in a million years would I have guessed what was actually the truth of the noise. Standing in the doorframe was no other than my mom. Mom? My voice squeaked. The longer I stared at her, the more she looked unreal. Like when you're staring at an AI that almost looks like a human, but it isn't. Her mouth turned upward into a wide grin, and very quickly I knew it was not the same mom that I remembered. The thing took a step towards me. When I saw it, it made me sick to my stomach. It was a person wearing my mom's skin. It took another step towards me, and I further pushed myself up against the wall. I wanted to scream. I wanted to run, but my body wouldn't do anything. I was frozen in fear. It's all right, darling. Their voice was a mix of my mom and what sounded like an ancient old man. We can be together now. As the person got closer to me, they began peeling my mom's skin off of their own, revealing their true face. However, it wasn't a human. I can't even describe it. The creature that stared back at me was unlike anything I'd ever seen. I now know why for all those years my mother was so paranoid about what lay in the woods. What are you, I asked, as it closed in on me, my mom's skin oozing off of its own flesh like slime. I took the window of time that I had left and pushed past the thing, running to the hallway. At the very end, my dad stood staring at me. Dad, run! Get help! Now! Instead of running, my dad only smiled, or tried to at least. Even his skin seemed to struggle to cooperate. He wasn't moving, he was just smiling. I heard more tapping behind me. It got closer, and as I ran down the stairs as fast as I possibly could, I saw and I looked behind me. Someone grabbed my arm. I turned, it was my father's skin. Someone grabbed my other arm. It was my mom's skin. I couldn't move. The grip was inescapable. They both leaned up to my separate ears, whispering the exact same thing. It's okay, darling. We can be together now.